When Mehdi Hasan and his team approached me before July 2024, they phrased it as an interview. Then they brought me to London and they told me it will be a debate. When the recording started, it's neither an interview nor a debate. What it happened was amazingly, it's kind of like a public lynching.
We wanted to discuss a few interviews that you went through. Your review on the Muhammad Mehdi show, you went there. How was that?
You mean Mehdi Hasan?
Mehdi Hassan.
The Union thing or the Conway Hall interview?
Yeah, I think
I
it
did
was
two.
Oxford. It was the last one, the latest one that happened in the last.
Yes, which was aired in September 2024.
That's a real secure leader. A guy who knows he has the confidence of his people. You get to vote, but only for me, and none of you can actually vote against me.
Mehdi, we do not want to end up in a situation with 6 prime ministers in 80 years.
Yeah. So you prefer a dictatorship?
No, we prefer a system that works for the benefit of the Chinese people.
I've not said a word.
Which part of the interview
I'm just I'm
piqued your
just talking
interest?
about the entire thing. How was your conversation? How you think?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. How do you think their production was? Their set of questions, the sequencing.
Yeah. I work with Al Jazeera quite often, both their English channel as well as the Arab channel. I have done lots of interviews with them. When Mehdi Hasan and his team approached me before July 2024, they phrased it as an interview. Then they brought me to London and they told me it will be a debate. When the recording started, it's neither an interview nor a debate. What it happened was amazingly, it's kind of like a public lynching. Why? Because Mehdi Hasan refused to give me enough time to answer his questions. He kind of just rattled off one question after another, as if each question is an accusation against the Chinese government. In lieu of me, he basically used me as a proxy to condemn China for all the things he's accusing China. Now, the funny thing is that he claimed that China has imprisoned less 2 million Uyghurs in Xinjiang, etc. I even didn't want to bother to argue with him because he forgot one basic legal principle. The accusing party has the burden of proof. If you accuse someone, you need to satisfy the burden of proof. You need to come up with all the evidence to support your accusation. Is that right? You cannot ask the accused party, in that case China, to prove that they haven't committed all these atrocities. So I think Mehdi Hassan failed to come up with any burden of proof. He basically was accusing China without any convincing evidence, for example. And that is the whole place where this interview or debate or public lynching went deadly wrong. And I hope Mehdi Hassan will not be fired by Al Jazeera as he was fired by CNBC, for example. And I hope he will really become a seasoned journalist and anchor person rather than a public lyncher. And then I also want to tell Mr. Mehdi Hassan that if you want to lynch China, you will not succeed. You know, China will be too powerful for anyone like you or your type of people to lynch and then try to conquer China. China is the mega trend in the world of today, and China has become a very important force for protecting peace. And in more recent months, ever since April the 2nd, 2025, which President Trump called the Liberation Day, when the United States launched this anti the world tariff war against almost all the countries in the world, China has become the fierce defender of free trade and the standard bearer of free trade. This is what Mehdi Hassan need to really see with his own eyes, rather than fabricating untruthful allegations without satisfying the burden of proof. Well, I'm happy I was interviewed by Mehdi Hassan, but whether I've convinced him or not, that's another issue. And if there is another chance, I want to meet with him again, and I will tell him point blank, if you want to accuse China, come up with your burden of proof. Don't ask China to come up with a burden of proof. In any legal sense of the word, presumption of innocence is a cornerstone of rule of law.
The Republic, Arnab Goswami.
Taking military action is always a matter of last resort rather than a first resort. And I think it will be completely unjustified for India to jump the gun and to attack another country by claiming that
Victor,
that country is behind whatever terrorist
Victor.
attack that may have happened.
Victor, if
I recall the interview you are talking about. I think Arnold was trying to second guess the brotherhood between China and India. He claimed that Pakistan was behind the terrorist attack, and I told him that you need to do independent investigation before pointing your accusing finger at Pakistan, as if Pakistan created all these terrorist attacks. Then he said, well, we have all the facts, and Pakistan is the guilty party, and China should now pick India to work with rather than siding with Pakistan. I told him that no one should second guess China's commitment to defending Pakistan's legitimate interests, including sovereignty and territorial integrity. And nobody should believe that China would abandon, a trusted ally or brother like Pakistan. So how could anyone, including Ahmed, who is a major media person in India, really second guess that China should do the wrong thing with Pakistan? I think at that time when I was interviewed by Anna, the Chinese government position is calling on both India and Pakistan to calm down, to avoid escalation, for example, and solve the problem in peace, which is absolutely the right thing for the Chinese government to say. What I said is more than the official position of China at that time, because I really drove to home the solidarity, the friendship, the brotherhood, sisterhood, and the camaraderie between China and Pakistan, which was later borne out in subsequent days and subsequent weeks, especially when tensions were building up, leading to the aerial battle. So I think I did the right thing. I spoke my mind, and I convinced the Indian side about what China will do to defend the legitimate interests of the Pakistani side in case of any war of aggression by any foreign power against Pakistan. And I think the result also was very much like what I expected, because I mentioned that China and Pakistan, we share many things together, including civilian as well as non-civilian technologies, jointly producing fighter planes, and also China sending some of the very, very sophisticated fighter planes and all the related equipment, navigation system, missiles, etc., to Pakistan for the purpose of defending Pakistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Eventually, the result of the aerial battle was exactly what I dreamed about, was exactly what I hoped, because I'm truly convinced that the Chinese way of working with Pakistan and the fact that we actually built upon a very highly integrated, what I call five-dimensional defense system, including space, air, that is the Air Force, ground force, naval force, surface ships, for example, as well as submarine. These five dimensions do not operate in its separation from each other. They are highly integrated into a seamless web, and the weapons do not operate in its isolation from each other. Each weapon, each missile, each plane is part of the whole web, which is integrated into a killer machine. Whereas on the Indian side, I'm really worried that they don't have such full integration into a seamless killing machine or web, because they acquire weapons from all different countries, from the United States, from France, from Russia, etc. They also build their own systems, and each one is different. Each one have different operating systems and each system may or may not be fully integratable with the others. So if you gain one split of second advantage to your opponent, you win. If you lose out one split of a second in times of war against your opponent, you lose out. So this is the result of the Pakistani-Indian aerial battle. I hope the Indian side will really have second thoughts and will be more focused on building a peace rather than agitating for war. And I hope India will no longer be that eager to pick a fight with Pakistan because they now know for sure that Pakistan has some better wherewithals, which may actually prevail against them if they choose war rather than peace.